Oh, Jesus, you scared the crap out of me. The Sega Dreamcast birthday is coming up in about 2 weeks, and today I decided to do a documentary on it because, it's August 13th, and I decided to do a documentary on this fabulous console that was released in 1999 on September 9th. Who am I, do you may ask? My name is Paul Anderson, aka Smash Killer Gaming, and I'm playing retro games since I was 13. Been playing Smash Bros. Since I was 5 years old, and started playing professionally this year. And I'm playing video games in general since I was at least 2.5, 3 years old. And my GameCube was my first console. Now, let's take a deep dive history, or a deep dive look, into the world of the Sega Dreamcast, Sega's last home console, and a console that was ahead of its time. Our story begins with the Sega Saturn. After multiple attempts of keeping the Genesis alive with the Sega 32X and the Sega CD, Sega decided to launch a 32-bit console, which was released on November 1994 in Japan. Now in Japan, the Sega Saturn was the most popular thing before the PlayStation came out. However, in North America, there was a lot of challenges when it came to the Sega Saturn. Like, for instance, the release date. At E3 of 1995, the Sega Saturn was announced and released on the same day as E3 at a $399 price point, which pissed off a lot of retailers because they were getting ready for the December 1995 release of the Sega Saturn. However, Sony had their press conference at E3 and said one price point that killed the Saturn.
$299.
After the Saturn's release on May 11th of 1995, a lot of retailers are so PO'd, especially the developers, that they decide not to make games for the Saturn, and they decide not to sell them at their stores. Now, those stores include Toys R Us, KB Toys, Target, Walmart, etc. And around that time, Sega was losing a lot of money by doing that. Now, Sega was in third place, and they were losing badly. And you're not going to like how much money they lost around this time. After Tom Kalinske quit, Bertie Stoller took his place and said, Saturn is not our future. So the Saturn was discontinued in 1998, which caused Sega to lose $269.9 million and lay off 30% of its workforce. At the time, there was no really console at all for the last 2 or 3 months around that time. And since Sega was a very hardware-specific company, that was a very big problem. However, the Japanese and American division of Sega decided to do a contest to see which console they will use for the 6th generation of consoles. Well, their entry to be precise. And you could already tell which one they used, since Sega's a Japanese company. And there was a lot of problems when it came to that. In 1997, Sega began work on a brand new console after the Sega Saturn's demise. Due to the popularity in PC gaming, Sega confronted NEC for their Power VR chip and 3DFX for their Voodoo chips for their consoles. Codenamed Black Belt and White Belt, supposed to be a Sega Saturn 2. However, Sega went with the White Belt because of the Power VR chip inside of it. However, 3DFX sued Sega for $100 million due to breach of contract. 3DFX lost, and the lawsuit defunct their company. After Sega picked the White Belt and 3DFX is now defunct due to that lawsuit, Sega began work on the Dreamcast. And it was first codenamed White Belt, now it's codenamed Katana, which would later become the Dreamcast. Now, a year later, and Sega gets a huge promotion. Watch this trailer. On May 21st, 1998, Sega revealed the Sega Dreamcast to the public in a press conference. And there was a lot of hype within the Dreamcast and the Sega name. Also worth mentioning, at E3 in 1998, Sega released this trailer to the public with the release date coded 9/9/1999, which is the American release date. However, before we get into all that, let's talk about the release date in Japan. On November 27th of 1998, the Dreamcast was made reality to the Japanese gaming public. However, due to NEC graphic shortages, people left the stores empty-handed, and there were not enough for a full launch. With more than a year away of the Sega Dreamcast North American release, Bernie Stoller took notice of what happened to their Japanese game partners and made a plan so their release won't fumble or flop. Stoller did a lot of things to push the Sega Dreamcast name, including making commercials that were basically made by PDI, which would later become DreamWorks and owned by Nickelodeon and Sony. Now, there was an unexpected turn at Sega of America, and you guys are going to want to hear this because you probably already know what's gonna happen. Bernie Stolar was fired from Sega and was replaced with Peter Moore. Yes, the guy who basically invented the Xbox 360. Little did you know, the Xbox 360 was basically made due to Peter Moore's experience with the Dreamcast. And the day after Bernie Stolar's firing, Sega released the Sega Dreamcast on 9/9/1999 for $199.